Welcome to another exploration in the Vital Adventure series. Today I want to talk about tension. Do you ever feel like your shoulders are moving into your ears, or like there's just some tension in your back that no matter how you stretch, it doesn't come out and you just really need a massage or a vacation? I have a few insights and things that helped me, and so I just want to share them as a friend. And really, they've been quite interesting and mysterious, so I hope you try them out too. The first is, if you've been feeling this way, are you having a proper bowel movement when you wake up in the morning? That's the first question I ask, because if you think about it, like if your body has to compensate and hold on, like all your tendons and your muscles have to hold on to a particular thing that's stuck in your body, won't that translate into a lot of tension in other parts of your body? So I personally have the insight and the feeling that so much of the tension and the back soreness and pain that we feel is related to actually bowel movements that are not complete. So that's the first thing I would encourage exploring, and one thing that helps toward that is drinking more water. And from Ayurveda, triphala is helpful, but it's not something that you can eat regularly by itself for a long term, but there is another formulation which is suitable for regular use. And the formulation is like this. So you take 1 teaspoon of triphala. You can do it in your hand or like in a bowl, probably a bowl makes more sense. And then the amount of ghee that it will take to make that into a paste. Then, depending on however much ghee you put half the amount of honey to the amount of ghee. Just by appearances, you can do this. And you have this right before bed. You don't even want to necessarily drink water after that. And you will find, or Ayurveda proposes, that this will not only help tone your digestive organs and offer the benefits that triphala provides, it will, and the ghee will ameliorate some of the like drying effects of triphala, but it can also help your eyes in the long term. So this is like it's like a double whammy and something useful that you can try. There are short-term tips like having just a bit of castor oil before bed, or prunes, but ultimately, or even tea in the daytime, or caffeine helps some people, but ultimately it's about eating the right foods. And I think most of us have an intuition for what it is, and it's in our bodies. So I'm not going to speak too much about that anymore, but the next I wanted to share is 3 exercises that have really interesting effects on the body, and I'd like to share with you. So these 3 exercises come from the Egoscue method, and if you want, you can just skip out of this video already and do the adventure, which is just share a picture of you and your favorite exercise that is sort of like physical therapy for you, or a favorite stretch. But anyways, I will share the 3 Egoscue exercises for the sake of convenience and coherence right now. So for these 3 exercises, you're going to keep your feet, like if you notice your posture, like if you stand up right now, how do you feel? And how do you feel if you keep your big toes fist width apart and the outside of your toes parallel, so that your feet may be turned in almost 5 degrees? This fixes a particular relationship between your feet and hips and sort of helps bring you into better posture. So you can try this already. And for the 3 exercises, the first 2, you will be getting into golfer's grip. So what you do is get your hands in this position and press them together, and with the wrists and fingernails together and stiff, and you're going to keep this for the rest of the exercise. And then we can just start. So I'm gonna show you the first two. Okay, so the fist. My feet are fist width apart and almost parallel on the outside. The hands pressed together and wrists and fingers stiff, and they're facing down. At this point, you want to pull your shoulders together and keep them pinched together for the rest of the exercise, the shoulder blades. And you do forward circles 40 times. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to do it 40 times, but do it 40 times. Then rotate your hands. If you need it, you can keep your hands down and do it again. And keep your shoulder blades together and do it backward 40 times. Sorry, I just noticed I'm not really centered on the screen. And then when you're done, keep your shoulders down. The next exercise uses the same grip. And you're going to put the hands next to the temples and bring the elbows together at the level of your chin and then open. And I don't know how many times you're supposed to do this, maybe like 40 or 30. And just give that a shot. But I recommend doing about that many to start to feel the effects. And finally, the overhead extension. So what you're going to do is interlace your arms, get your shoulders down, and also in this position, get your shoulders down, and then extend it up overhead in a way that doesn't stretch your back, just as far back as you can without, arching your back. And then you're going to look up at your hands and do this for around 30 seconds to a minute. Trying to keep your shoulders down. And that's it. Those are the 3 exercises. I'd really love if you try them and tell me if it changes, because for me it's quite mysterious how it changes the relationship between my bones and my muscles. And so I look forward to seeing you share your favorite exercise. There are a few more that I really like. The static back and the running from Egoscu are really fun, so maybe next time I can share about that. But for now, that is today's Vital Science adventure. I'll see you in the next one. Juice on!